I just don't get it, man. I'm such a nice guy. If this sounds a lot like your defeated inner dialogue, take a walk with me. A lot of times when you use that phrase, it's on the heels of a disappointment, a letdown, or a breakup. It's yet again another perceived relationship failure. To that I say there are no failures, but there are learning experiences. It becomes a failure when you give up and you choose not to take the lesson. And what you don't often realize is that your relationships are a self-fulfilling prophecy. And if you take a moment to inventory your past relationships, you'll begin to see a pattern develop. This isn't isolated to romantic relationships. This happens in friendships as well. You have a tendency to put people up on a pedestal and cater to their needs before your own, like a good little boy. You find yourself abandoning yourself to avoid the discomfort of others and the inner discomfort that you're feeling. I just want to resolve whatever this is and make it go away. I never developed the emotional skill sets necessary to be able to navigate this. And it's not that you can't, you just haven't yet. And the thought process becomes, if I can give you what you want, then we can all get back to normal. You think I love you, I want to be with you, but I can't be in conflict with you. I can't be in this state of distress. And you may not know those words, you just know that you're emotionally activated. You're beyond your emotional capacity for discomfort. And everyone calls it nice guy syndrome, but it seems to me like it's more anxious attachment and people pleasing. And I've heard it categorized even further as anxious disorganized. And these labels can get you to an understanding of what's going on internally, but I don't want you to wear that as a label. Ultimately, your attachment style isn't permanent. And we hear people say often, well, I'm anxious and that's just the way I am. I'm avoidant and that's just the way it is. I can't change. You can change. You just haven't been introduced into a new way of being. To build and cultivate a new relationship with yourself. To learn to accept and admire all the different parts of you. And often when people talk about this on social media, you end up feeling more defective in that process. There's a lot of what's wrong and not a lot of what's next. And I want to remind you, it's never just one thing. For many people, it looks like therapy, counseling, and coaching. For others, it can look like personal development, self-improvement, and self-discovery. It can also look like a combination of all those things to include the gym, breathwork, meditation, journaling, self-regulation, co-regulation, conflict resolution, learning your goals, values, and standards for a relationship with you, learning, knowing, and embodying your boundaries. And instead of putting somebody up on a pedestal, you begin to see them for who they really are. In this process, you develop your discernment and you begin to ask yourself questions like, who am I? Where am I going? What am I doing? And why am I doing it? You learn to inventory some of your closest relationships and ask yourself, is this in service of my highest good? You begin to turn away situations and relationships that don't align with what you want from life. You also recognize that it's not your job to fix or change other people. You're at the point now where you've really developed your sense of self. And you recognize that the only relationships that you want to have with other people are ones that are reciprocal in effort. They're naturally reciprocal without expectation instead of tit for tat. You no longer feel like you're being taken advantage of. You've learned to ask for what you want. You understand that in asking for what you want, that may also come with rejection, and that's okay. You recognize that you don't have to take it personally, and where there's a no, there's a yes that's waiting for you out in the world. And this is the most common response to this type of video. But I am a nice guy. I want to be a nice guy. Being nice comes with expectations. Being kind does not. Being kind comes without the expectation of receiving something in return. It's a completely different type of energy that you're showing up with. And if you still have an issue with that, I want you to go back and think to how many text messages you've received in your lifetime that start out with, hey, you're such a nice guy. Just remember, I want to see you win. I want to see you do well out in the world. But you have to want that for you. And if you're ready to do the work and learn a little bit more about insecure attachment styles, you can go and get the book list in my Stan store. It's free. I'm not affiliated with any of them. It's just a great baseline to get started with. But for now, I'm going to leave you with this. Get rid of the dialogue in your head that says, I'm a nice guy, and say, be kind. Be kind is an act of being. It's just who you are.